Okay, when I first saw this, I legit thought this was either a troll or being misrepresented by some loonies on the left. You know how, like, they'll tend to take one thing somebody said and misinterpret or extrapolate it and make, like, this far reach? I was like, wait, hang on. Did he say, I don't want any more pastors? Or did he say, I don't want Al Sharpton here? And then the left misconstrued that into no more black pastors? And then I went and looked up the original video just to be sure, because I was like, this is too on the nose. There's no way. And yeah, it's real. Amazing. And it is really annoying that the Rittenhouse case and the Arbery case have to go on at the same time, because it's hard to watch both of those at the same time. Although the Ahmaud Arbery case is pretty, like, open and shut. I just love that nobody's giving this case any attention on either side. You have all the shit libs that are quiet about this, which I found hilarious, because they're always like, racists are hunting down black people. And then you actually have a literal case of that happening this time, and they're all quiet, because they're too busy over Kyle. It's like, who cares? Right? That was a clear-cut self-defense anyway, and it was a white kid shooting white people. And then that's the racist case, when we literally have an instance of racists chasing down this black kid and murdering him in cold blood. And where are the shit libs screaming about it? I didn't hear them. And we already know why the right's not covering the case, because anytime there's an actual instance of a racist killing, they're just kind of going to brush it under the rug and be like, we're not going to talk about that. The right's too busy praising Anna Kasparian for apologizing over Kyle Rittenhouse, but I didn't see anybody on the right apologize about Ahmaud Arbery and all the lies they spread about him. I don't hear Tatum or Candace Owens or Matt Walsh apologizing for all the misinformation they said about that case and how they smeared him. As someone who was violent, who just attacked Bill McMichaels unprovoked, right? Then who was robbing a house, which none of that ever happened, but none of them apologized. Anyway, little bit of a tangent. So I saw the video, and bruh, I mean, the text messages already show that the McMichaels are massive racists who did target him because he was black. When your defense attorney says this, it makes the case a lot worse for you. I don't get it. I'm going to play the original video for you because it's just, it's so good. Because we're going to focus on, it's actually a little bit worse than this, but we're going to focus on why is he saying this. Regardless of what you think of Al Sharpton, I really don't care in this case. That's irrelevant to me. Okay, but watch this. This is actually a little bit worse than what the actual news article said.
I was cross-examining Investigator Lowry yesterday, is that the Right Reverend Al Sharpton managed to find his way into the back of the courtroom. I'm guessing he was somehow there at the invitation of the victim's family in this case. And I have nothing personally against Mr. Sharpton. My concern is that it's one thing for the family to be present. It's another thing to ask for the lawyers to be present. But if we're going to start a precedent, starting yesterday, we're going to bring high-profile members of the African-American community into the courtroom to sit with the family during the trial in the presence of the jury.
First of all, I want to point out why is that a problem? This was an instance of a bunch of racist rednecks killing this black kid because they made assumptions about him that were not true at all. And you don't think the black community is going to care? Of course they're going to care, and the high prominent, members are going to show up, regardless of what you think. Al Sharpton, I'm talking about other ones. I'm like, yeah, they're going to take an interest in this because we're not going to want pieces of shit like this to get off and get away with what they did. I don't know why this is complicated, because this happens. Especially when there is a almost all-white jury. There's like 11 white jurors and 1 black juror, so...
I believe that's intimidating, and it's an attempt to pressure. Could be, consciously or unconsciously, an attempt to
high-profile members of the black community showing up is an attempt to intimidate the jury. Okay. Now there's a word in this I want to emphasize. It's because he's putting a high emphasis on the word black, right? That's what matters to me. If he said, I don't want any more pastors here, you'd be like, kind of a weird request, but all right. But he wanted to specifically say black pastors. and members of the black community. He wanted to point out that black people were showing up and that might intimidate the jury. Why would the jury be intimidated by black people showing up or black community leaders showing up and just sitting with the family? What is intimidating about that? That doesn't make any sense.
Pressure or influence the jury. To my knowledge, Reverend Al Sharpton has no church in Glenn County, never has. Hasn't been here since Elaine Brown ran for mayor, to my knowledge.
That's completely irrelevant.
But we have all kinds of people. We have school board members. We have county commissioners. We have all kinds of pastors in this town, over 100. The idea that we're going to be serially bringing these people in to sit with the victim's family one after another.
Now, see, when he says these people, I'm not even sure what he's referring to. I'm assuming he's assuming, again, prominent black community members. I'm assuming that's what he means by these people because, again, before he's emphasizing, he's putting the qualifier black in there, which is what matters here. Because he's not saying, like, high-profile pastors. He points out they have a lot of pastors, but he doesn't seem concerned about that. He is concerned about black pastors, and that's the problem here.
Obviously, there's only so many pastors they can have. And if their pastor's Al Sharpton right now, that's fine, but then that's it. We don't want any more black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week, sitting with the victim's family, trying to influence a jury in this case.
So having high-profile black pastors sitting with the family is jury intimidation. I don't think that's intimidating the jury. I think this guy is intimidated. I don't see why the jury would be intimidated. What's wrong with them there? Why does that make you uncomfortable? These are the questions I want to ask. Again, I wish more people did stuff on this, but the shit libs don't care about this kind of stuff that happens to black people. They're quiet about it, even though this fits their narrative perfectly. They're quiet because they don't care. And again, since this is an actual instance of racism and an actual racist killing, the right just wants to be like, we're not gonna talk about this one. They're like, if we talk about it, we have to concede a little ground to the crazed lefties. We have to concede a little ground, and we can't do that. So we're just gonna brush this under the rug and pretend this didn't happen. Because you guarantee, if this dude was a Democrat, you would just get every single right-wing channel would just be like, the left are the true racists here. Let's be honest. You know how many times we've seen that?
And I'm not saying the state is even aware that Mr. Sharpton was in the courtroom. I certainly wasn't aware of it till last night. But I think the court can understand my concern about bringing people in who really don't have any ties to this case other than political interests. And we want...
That's most high-profile court cases. What's the point? Again, it sounds like he's intimidated. He has a problem with black people showing up here. Forget the fact that it's an all-white jury, almost. We got one. But then when more black people start showing up, now they're having a problem. I feel like this lawyer would be the one complaining if this was a mostly black jury, that this would be biased and unfair. He seems like kind of that guy.
I want to keep politics out of this case. So I'm asking the court to take appropriate steps to make sure that the gallery, which is already limited in this case, isn't being utilized for a purpose that could be viewed as improper. Thank you.
How? So Al Sharpton gave a statement after that, which is pretty tame because if I heard that shit, I'd be popping off. But what the judge said was more interesting. So the jury selection ended last week with the prosecutors objecting to the final jury of 11 whites and 1 black juror. The judge agreed that there appeared to be intentional discrimination in the exclusion of black potential jurors, but that Georgia law limited his authority to intervene. So it seems like this guy, not the judge, the defense attorney is okay with discrimination or bias in one direction, right? He's not complaining that there are too many white jurors that could influence the case. He didn't seem to want to bring up the potential of, white pastors showing up for the McMichaels. And like I said, if you're really trying to get away with this, race had nothing to do with it, well, besides the text messages showing that that's not true, when your defense attorney says shit like that, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to believe you. So I'm just amazed right now nobody's talking about this and the clear issues in this trial but you know, like I said, shitlibs don't care. The right wants to brush it under the rug because they have a narrative, and the Rittenhouse case is completely overshadowing this, but which is so stupid because I was like, dude, it's it was clear self-defense. I watched a trial. It was clear self-defense. Just like Ahmaud Arbery, he was clearly defending himself. I don't understand how you can say Rittenhouse is innocent and Ahmaud Arbery is guilty, considering when it came to the chasing part, those cases become almost identical, except one was strapped, the other wasn't, and one lived and the other died. But they were both cases of clear-cut self-defense. But we're gonna see how this goes. Oh, and no way, if the Michaels rightfully be found guilty of murder, we'll be sure to make fun of all the right-wing ignorants who come out and do the splaining, who didn't watch anything on the case. And we'll just look at that one cell phone video that's wildly out of context. We'll be sure to make fun of them. I can't really make fun of the left on this because they're not even going to acknowledge it, and I can't really make fun of something that is non-existent. But, you know, we're going to do that.